Almost everybody who plays Valorant wants to rank up. It's the main point of the game, and if you clicked on this video, then I can tell that you want to rank up as well and might be struggling. My name is Sena, and I got placed in silver, and I was hard stuck gold and plat for months without any idea about how to rank up, and I don't blame you if you're in the same boat. Look at Valorant Mobile, for example, where they have a crosshair placement training drill where you need to clear angles, move around, and shoot bots, all while keeping your crosshair at head level. Or games like CS2, where they have community created maps like aimbots with tons of practice options made by the community. Valorant just simply doesn't have that kind of resource. It wasn't until I started to implement this 3-step plan that I started to actually see results and went from plat to immortal within just a couple weeks and eventually hit Radiant in episode 6. In this video, I want to give you guys this plan so you can use it and get results just like me, because I was not naturally talented at this game at all. I promise that if you actually apply this properly and don't just do it for one day after seeing this video and forgetting about it, you will be guaranteed to rank up. I'm going to be explaining each step in detail and give you guys things to do for each step, so make sure you watch the video all the way through so that you don't miss anything. With that being said, let's get into step 1. For the first step, we're going to be loading into the range, but how do we use it to practice effectively? This first step is specifically about your raw aim and a little bit of movement, so go into the range and shoot the practice button and then stand on top of the ledge. Now start strafing left and right, shooting targets and switching between targets smoothly in straight lines from one to another. This is good for warming up your raw aim, since crosshair placement doesn't matter at all in this drill. Throw on some music and just do this for a couple minutes until you feel like your aim is warmed up, and then we can move on to the next drill. For this next part, change the bot difficulty to either easy or medium and swap to the sheriff and shoot the start button. Do a couple rounds of this sheriff bots and try your best to make sure you're moving your crosshair horizontally without it moving vertically. Doing this with a sheriff instead of a vandal makes it a little bit harder, which is good because we want to make sure we're hitting headshots here. Also, don't worry if you miss. This isn't about getting a good score, it's purely about improving your mechanics. After you've done a few rounds of this, let's move on to the final range drill where we swap back to the vandal, shoot the practice button, and go into the center of the range. What we're going to be doing now is swapping between strafing and headshotting the bots and then spraying. That might seem weird, but spraying is actually a skill that we want to get good at, even though it can be unpredictable. In some gunfights, you might just have to resort to a spray, and spraying through smokes can be really good for getting free kills too, so we want to make sure we're good at it. Start strafing left and right, headshotting a few bots, and then start to spray down a couple right afterwards. Doing this will ensure that you get comfortable with your spray pattern and allows you to get warmed up with strafing and shooting, and this is a really helpful drill to do. After you've done this for a couple minutes, we've completed the range practice, and now it's time to practice against real players in step 2. The point of those range drills was to get your raw aim warmed up, but raw aim is nothing without passive aim, which is crosshair placement. If you're only good at raw aim, your pre-aim and gunfight hygiene is going to suck because you're going to have to flick to enemies a lot, which is not consistent. To practice crosshair placement or passive aim, load into a deathmatch and start practicing swinging and holding angles. But don't just play these deathmatches with your brain off. You need to catch yourself if your crosshair is ever too low or too high. Distance from an angle makes a huge difference as well, and if you're really far away from an angle, you need to hold your crosshair lower than you think. Make sure you're only peeking using A and D, make sure you aren't holding W while peeking, and make sure you're getting as many headshots as possible. Also, don't worry if you aren't winning your death matches. Winning doesn't really matter at all. All we're here to do is train your mechanics and get better in gunfights. Deathmatch is such a great tool to use to train specific mechanics against real players that a lot of people neglect, so make sure you're using it to your advantage. So far, we've used the range to practice our raw aim and movement, and now we've used deathmatch to practice our passive aim, raw aim, and movement all together against real players, so now it's time to apply them in a live match setting. Even though Deathmatch is a great tool to practice certain mechanics, the gunfights that you get into in Deathmatch are very, very unrealistic compared to the fights that you'll be getting into in your ranked games. In a live match setting, you're going to be walking a lot more rather than just running around the map. There's going to be utility being thrown out, there's going to be team play involved, and there's going to be overall higher stakes. For step 3, load into either a swift play or unrated depending on which one you prefer, and practice using these mechanics we've trained not only against real players, but real players in a live match setting where you don't get to respawn after you die. This is some of the best practice you will get, and I think non-ranked modes are an incredibly valuable resource for learning and practicing with very low stakes. Practice strategies with new agents, or using low-buy guns like Sheriff, Marshal, Bulldog, or Guardian. Practice entering, being aggressive, and using your mechanical skills that you've been fine-tuning. You have full freedom to do whatever you want, and I would definitely take advantage of that. And that is the 3-step cycle of practice that I would recommend following. Use the range to practice raw aim and warm up, use Deathmatch to practice crosshair placement and gunfight hygiene, and then use it in non-ranked modes in a live match setting. And if you don't have time to do this all at once, it's okay to break it up and do parts at a time, but if you are serious about becoming the best, each step is very helpful in reaching your goal. After consistently repeating this 3-step process for practice, I can guarantee you will see improvement in your skill very quickly. This is the process that I used, and it has worked so well for me, and I'm not special, so there's no reason it won't work for you too. Obviously, game sense and knowledge is important, but those are things that must be learned through experience and trial and error by playing the game. Since mechanics can be focused on and trained, you should be taking advantage of that and using the resources I provided in this guide. If you have any questions or concerns, leave them down in the comment section below so I or others can help you out. I also have a Discord server that I'm active in. The link is in the description and you guys should come join up there. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.